Today is Monday, the 10th of November 2025. Now we have a not really few anyway, but the fundamentals are not as much as we always have for the week, but then we'll just quickly run through them. Good morning, Madam Onaji. Now, today, Monday, there is no fundamental event at all, none. So the market will move just based on technicals. But then, like I always advise, trade with caution, because there is no fundamental, it's possible we may have some range, market might range, or we may have a regular or spike movement. Just still trade with a lot of caution as much as possible today. Now, tomorrow, Tuesday, we just look at the key events for both tomorrow and other days of the week. Good morning, Mr. Tunde Toyibo. So tomorrow, Tuesday, tradable events will have the 8 a.m. claimant count change from the United Kingdom. Also, it will run simultaneously with the average earnings index. Now, the claimant count change is a high impact event, and the average earning index is a medium impact event. But both of them will be released by 8 a.m. tomorrow. So we expect volatility on the British pound when this data is released. Most of the other currencies tomorrow will be experiencing a bank holiday, like the euro, the CAD, and the American dollar. But then we expect activity, a lot of activity on the British pound, especially around the time when the data will be released rather. On Wednesday, again, there's no tradable fundamental event on Wednesday. On Thursday, we have employment change from Australia by 1:30 a.m. simultaneously with the unemployment rate. 8 a.m. again on Thursday, there will be GDP, that's gross domestic product, and prelim GDP quarterly from the United Kingdom. So volatility is expected on the British pound again on Thursday. Now for the US dollar, we're still seeing tentative for the dollar events like core CPI, CPI, and CPI yearly. Same thing happened last week when at the beginning of the week we saw NFP, tentative, and eventually it didn't hold. So seeing it tentative again for all these dollar events, there's a likelihood it may not hold. So we're going to be putting our focus on Thursday on the British pound, except eventually if the United States decide to release the data, but then we're not going to be focusing on that for now. And Friday also, all dollar related events are all tentative. Core PPI, core retail sales, PPI retail sales. So I think for now we should just put it on hold, just like we're putting it on tentative. So it's just the events I've mentioned so far: the GDP on Thursday from United Kingdom, the Australian employment change 1:30 a.m. Thursday morning, British claimant count change on Tuesday, and average hourly earning on Tuesday by 8 a.m. Those are the tradable events for this week. So we're going to see more activity on the British pound in the real sense of it. All right, so I'll switch over now to the chart. We'll look at the technicals for the events. I mean, the pairs that might be moving for this week from a technical angle. And I'll start with the dollar index, even though majority of the dollar related pairs are tentative for now, but then we're still seeing some setup on the dollar index. And don't forget that in the forex market, dollar is a king. So regardless of what is happening in the market, the dollar might still choose to move. All right, so this is the dollar index on the weekly time frame. And it's very clear that the market closed at a resistance level last week. And not only that, the last week candle also closed as a rejection candle. Rejection candle at a resistance level. Now, this is not just another rejection candle, it's actually forming a shooting star. So technically, we'll be expecting a reversal in price on the dollar this week. So we're bearish on the dollar. So with that in mind, we can check on the major pairs like the USD Now, we had a bearish outlook on the USD last week, and we can see that some bearish movement actually did happen, because price also closed for the previous week, price closed, or rather last week, pardon me, price closed at a resistance level with a rejection candle also. So technically on the dollar on USD we're expecting a reversal. Though on the daily time frame, we can see that some bearish movement already took place, but then it's still the beginning phase of the bearish movement we're expecting. So in the course of this week, we can zoom down to 4 hour and even possibly a smaller time frame below that. we'll be expecting price to break out below this minor support zone for us to see a further bearish trigger on the USD CHF. We can as well just look at possibly drawing the trend line, but the trend line is still far from the anticipated region of entry. But generally, if price is able to break out below that lower support zone, and we should see further breakout on the USDCJ. For now, it's not clear beyond that, but if we see any other pattern form in the course of the week, will let us know. RSI is already below 50. We might also be looking out for MACD crossing below zero for this to be in effect. So we're bearish on this USDCHF for this week. And similarly, we are bearish on the USD Now, I've been bearish on this instrument for some time. Though last week, the movement was more intraday, but we anticipate a further bearish breakout this week based on the fact that our dollar index, is bearish. You can see we have a descending trend line on the weekly time frame for the USD and I think you should just go straight to the 4 hour. Now, there's been a kind of a range around this around this zone for last week, though on the 1 hour we saw some slight movement downwards. So we'll be expecting a bearish move on this instrument this week, and we'll confirm with our RSI clearly below 50 and possibly a MACD also crossing below zero. So we're bearish on both the USD CHF and the USD JPY this week. As it becomes clearer, we'll definitely let you know what the entry parameters, on the smaller time frame will be. Now, for GBP USD, we are bullish. Now, for GBP USD, we've been able to establish a bearish trend on the dollar index, which has reflected on the USD JPY and USD CHF. For the GBP USD, however, what I'm seeing is price hitting a psychological level last week. That's 1.30000, and forming an inverse head and shoulder pattern which will trigger price upwards. So that's what I'm seeing on the 4 hour. So let's take it closer. Okay, that's what I'm seeing on the daily, pardon me, daily. So we can take it down to 4 hour and also the 1 hour time frame. So this is the USD GBP USD, pardon me, on the 4 hour, and we can clearly see the inverse head and shoulder. Price already broke out above the neckline, and what we're seeing at the moment is a retracement. We should expect a further continuation in the course of this week. Now, this is still very much, I believe, applicable on 1 hour. I'll check the 1 hour, but let me just draw this out again so you can see it's retesting that neckline region, which is acting as a resistance to support. Let's take it down to 1 hour. So it's still the same. It's still the same shoulder, head, second shoulder, a breakout, a retest, and we'll be expecting a further continuation. So the continuation will be in effect if price is able to cross above this resistance, a minor resistance. That's just some 20 pips away. So that's why this one is possible. When you see these patterns, it might be possible both on both the 4 hour and even the 1 hour. If price is able to push up above 20 pips in the course of today, that might signal, entering a buy on the GBP USD. RSI is already above 50, and MACD is already above zero. So we're only waiting for price to clearly break above this minor resistance. So we're bullish on the GBP USD, both for today and for the week. Yeah, it's a swing, and it also has intraday side to it. For USD card, I gave this analysis last week that I was expecting the bearish movement on the USD card, and it's still in line with what we are seeing on the dollar index being bearish. I remember telling us we have a descending trend line and a rising wedge, with this point being a confluence, having a rejection candle, and that so far has led to a bearish movement on the USD card. I remember we had the news last week Friday or thereabouts where I said I expected price to break below this neckline, forming a kind of a double top, and that already happened. We've seen some movement downwards. Now that the dollar index is still bearish, I'm still very much bearish on the USD card, but then I expect some kind of confirmation here. This is a resistance, turn support, so I expect some retracement before a further continuation in the bearish direction this week. So the region where prices, I'm expecting some retracement and a breakout below this resistance to support. Now it's possible price may still break out outrightly on its own. If that happens, also you may look at taking a sell afterwards. But once price is able to break out below this zone, you're free to take a sell either directly or force a retracement before the breakout. Any one of it is possible. But overall, we're bearish on the USD card. Now, all the analysis I've given so far, most of them are 4 hour based, except the USD that is 1 hour and 4 hour. But the next one I'm giving you now is the Euro NZD, and it's purely an intraday. This is purely intraday setup for now. It's not yet a signal until we confirm it, but I believe it will surely go in a bearish direction. Now, this is the Euro NZD on the daily time frame. Euro NZD on the daily time frame, we can see we have a perfect looking rising wedge pattern on the daily time frame. The candle that closed last week Friday closed as a rejection candle on that daily time frame. At that point I just circled is a confluence point where we have the trend line from the rising wedge, the higher highs, meeting with the rejection candle, and there's a third confirmation here, which is the psychological level at 2.600. So technically, we are expecting a bearish movement on this instrument for this week. We are bearish on the Euro NZD, and I think we should just go straight to the 1 hour time frame. Now, this is a 1 hour time frame. Now, usually when you have rejection candles on a higher time frame, in most cases, not all, it may end up forming something that looks like a head and shoulder on a smaller time frame. So I'm seeing a shoulder here, a head, possibly we see some retracement for a second shoulder and a breakout. However, even if it doesn't form the second shoulder, once we are seeing a new breakout of price below this recent low, it will be clear that we can take a sell on the Euro NZD. RSI is already below 50. MACD is about to cross below zero. So this is an intraday setup. I tell you, you can't afford to miss this one. We are very much bearish on the Euro NZD. And if this triggers according to what I'm seeing, we should see price move to the tune of we should see a move to Fibonacci 38.2, about some 50 pips to Fibonacci 38.2, about 100 pips to Fibonacci 50, and as much as about 100 and let's say 65 pips there about to Fibonacci 61.8. So please watch this closely for today. Watch this close for today. It's my span beyond today, but then watch this closely today. We are bearish on the Euro NZD on 1 hour. All right, I think I'll stop here. I'll look at the comment section. There are some other instruments, but because of time, uh, I'll just look at the other ones that you have dropped so that we can just quickly analyze those ones. All right, Olisa Kevin is asking me to check on gold. All right, so let's look at gold. Now the thing with gold now is that please let's ensure we mute our devices as we join this class. Now gold seems to have formed a kind of a double bottom pattern on the daily time frame, and we've seen some breakouts overnight. Now, this is also because we can see that it's a confirmation to the fact that we're uh, bearish on the dollar index. If the dollar index is bearish, definitely gold will go bullish, except there are other economic factors that might change the direction of gold. So far, we've seen a bullish breakout, but the issue here is that this happened on the daily time frame, not on the lower time frame, and gold can be extremely volatile. Now, today, gold has moved already by about 800 pips between last night and this morning. That's a whole lot. Even though we are seeing a double bottom pattern, we cannot assume it will keep going up. I believe there will be a retracement. Even if there's going to be a further movement to the upside, I strongly believe there will be a retracement before that happens. So what I will advise, I'm seeing a minor resistance on the 4 hour right here. If gold hits this resistance, then we may look for a retracement to the downside. But there's no clear entry for now, except price goes to hit that resistance first. It has broken, price has clearly broken out above even the recent resistance, which is like the neckline of that double bottom. You have seen a clear breakout. So if price hits this resistance, then we may look for a downside move. So you say, why not just enter a buy straight? Well, it's not clear to enter a buy now. But if price can go up to hit this resistance, then we can see a movement downwards where we can look at an opportunity to take a sell. So that's my view on gold. Okay, as Pastor Samuel is asking me to check Euro JPY. We had a bearish outlook on the JPY pairs last week, and most of the pairs we looked at, which included the Euro JPY, actually moved in the bearish direction until towards the end of the week when there was a movement to the other side. This was our outlook last week. Price broke out as anticipated. Okay, so what's our view this week? Let's go to the weekly time frame. Okay, so there's the weekly. Okay, so let me even start from the monthly. So we have this uptrend line on the monthly, and okay, psychological level at 178000. All right. So and price is still trading around that region. All right, so this is the confluence region, the trend line and the psychological level, and price is back exactly to that level. So in this case, I would rather want to go as low as 1 hour. I will check for hour first, but then the focus is 1 hour time frame. Now, since we have price is exactly on the psychological level on 1 hour. The trend line from the monthly is still very much close. In fact, let me see go down as low as 15 minutes. All right, so we're going to be anticipating the breakout to the downside on Euro JPY. It may happen today, anytime today, 15 minutes, even a couple of hours, this could happen. So if price is able to break out clearly below the trend line and resistance from the psychological level within that area I drew, you may see take a sell on Euro JPY. Also confirm that your RSI is clearly below 50. If MACD crosses above zero, better, but it's not compulsory, but at least on the minimum, price breaking out below the trend line and the resistance, and sorry, the trend line and the resistance and the trend line, pardon me, and also your RSI below you. That's the key. If MACD is subjective, it may not, but once we see a clear breakout, and it's possible price may try to form like a head and shoulder. If it forms that, that also will give us additional probability. But even what I'm seeing at the moment, this instrument is actually bearish bound. So watch out closely in the next couple of hours or just in the course of today to see a bearish breakout on the Euro JPY on the 15 minutes time frame precisely. All right, Madam Onaji is asking me to check Euro AUD. All right, so we had a bullish analysis on this instrument last week, and it went to along the bullish line as analyzed, hitting Fibonacci 50. So what's the outlook this week? You can see it began a downward movement upon hitting Fibonacci 50. I always explain that Fibonacci 50 and 61.8, Fibonacci 1.8, they are key levels where price could either retrace or reverse. So they are often used as take profit levels. All right, so Euro AED actually closed as a rejection candle last Friday. We've seen some bearish movement already today, but then uh, though it closed as a rejection candle, I can't find a resistance to complement taking a bearish position. And I can't even find a psychological level around to act as a resistance. So apart from the fact that it's a rejection candle, I'm not finding confirmation for a sell on this instrument. So I will want to be cautious, so that you don't enter one a sell and it reverses on you. I'm not getting clear confirmation. So for me, I just want to stay out of this for now. Mr. Equity Ambassador is asking me to check Euro card. Yeah, this one I had a bearish outlook since
Thank you
last
very
week.
much, sir.
You're
Thank you. I'm
welcome.
grateful.
You're
Thank
welcome,
you.
man. I had a bearish outlook on this last week. A rising wedge, a pattern that looks a lot like a head and shoulder forming on the daily time frame, which may lead to a breakout downwards. And I remember seeing on, I think Thursday or Friday thereabouts that price, I think it was on Friday, that price also closed the previous day on this resistance level, and as such we expected a bearish movement, and that happened on Friday and it's also happening today. But you see, all these are still on the daily time frame, except you want to trade the daily time frame. But even if you want to trade the daily time frame, it's not yet time to take a sell until price breaks out clearly below that support zone for a long-term bearish movement on the Euro card. So even though I'm seeing things that look like a sell, you can't enter because it's on a higher time frame. your stop loss will be extremely large, and that may not, it may have a negative impact upon your account if things didn't go as planned. So while it looks a lot bearish, except you want to trade it on daily and you have the account size to cope with it. Otherwise, I would say you should just leave this for now. For those asking about the Euro AED Euro card, the Euro NZD is a better option because the setup there is on 1 hour. So you may look towards the Euro NZD, which I analyzed earlier this morning. That can be a lot easier to trade with proper risk management because everything there is purely, the entry is purely on 1 hour. Yeah, the daily time frame setup is showing the bearish movement, but the 1 hour is where the entry lies, and that one is going to be a lot easier to trade. If price we just retrace a little above, the stop loss can be as wide as the Euro AUD and the Euro card. The stop loss on this one on a conservative level might just be around some 40 44 pips thereabouts, which depending on the lot size you're trading you can manage. If you're trading 0.01, even if it's 50 pips, that's still five dollars, whereas the profit potential can go as much as 100 to even 200 pips, so that can be a ratio 1 to 4, 1 to 5, is still easier than having a stop loss of over 100 or 150 pips, which is what I'm seeing on the Euro card and Euro AUD. So look more, if you want to trade Euro today, look more at the Euro NZD. For anybody that wants to trade Euro, let your focus be more on the Euro NZD. Okay, Chukwebuka Francis, he asking me to check the Euro USD. We're bearish on the dollar, so we might be looking at a bullish movement on a pair like the Euro USD. However, technically, this is what I'm seeing on the Euro USD. I remember analyzing this instrument last week, and I said I found this level to be a key level that dates back to, I think, 2002 or so. Price has been, bouncing off whenever I hit this particular price level at 1.14834. All right, so last week, Friday, market closed as a rejection candle. It's not looking clearly as an inverse head and shoulder, but even if it's not really an issue, we are bearish on the dollar, so we're expecting a further move to the upside on the Euro USD. Now this is clearer as more of, okay, either intraday or swing, whichever one. But all I know is that price is expected to find its way to the upside. Now, when it hits this trend line, anything can happen. It may either break out or retrace from there. But the first move I'm seeing for the Euro USD is a move to the upside. All right, so that'll be all from my analysis this morning. If you joined us late, you can just watch out for the link to the video, which will be dropped in all the groups that we have at PU Prime. You can watch it again to get a clearer insight on this analysis. And last week Friday, I dropped a video on 7 habits of successful forex traders. I dropped the link in all the groups. If you're here to watch that video, go and watch it. It will help you a lot, give you a lot of foundation on how to create habits that can help you become successful on the long term in this forex trading business. All right, so I'll end the analysis right here. Take care and have a great week ahead. Bye bye.
Have a great week, sir. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.